Hi everyone, Jean-Christophe from Inspired Energy. Today I would like to talk about food and the importance it has on our body, our mind and our spirit. So there is a lot of subject and topic you can find on the internet. So you're not going to learn really a lot of new things about what I'm going to tell you. But I want more to give my 2 cents and the relation that I personally have with food. I want as well to dedicate this video to a friend of mine that I never really met physically in person. And her name is she lives in Paris, and she's a lady who is passionate about food and help the people to cook better, to eat better in a very simple way without any judgment. So thank you, Cassis, for all the blogs you're giving to people to help them to improve their life and understand the relation they have with food. So food really is, if you really think about it, a cultural thing. If you're born in a French culture, you're going to eat a certain type of food. If you're born in an English culture, you're going to eat another type of food. And if you're born in Asia, another type, and so and so and so. So basically when you are young, you are fed by your parents and you're going to eat the food that they put in your plate. So if you have I would say, without any judgment, the wrong environment and the wrong how can I say that? The wrong view on what food is, then you're going to have some, and you're going to take some bad habits, who have been given at the beginning by your, most of that, the parents or the environment where you are. But you can always change that. So you have to take conscience that you are what you eat. And the basic of the personality, how you start your day, how the life is as well, come from the food. If you refer to the animal kingdom, animals don't have this ability of thinking that human beings have, Animals live with their 5 senses, They can see, they can hear, they can taste, they can touch, and they can smell. So the approach that they have about food is really simple, They don't ask themselves if it's nice, if it looks tasty, or if they feel like it or not. They eat to be able to survive, and they eat what the nature is giving them regarding the type of animals or living creature they are. So if it's a lion, they're going to need mainly to eat some meat, which is protein, So the animals don't choose really, they don't see, hey, I need some proteins, But they do. So as the human beings, Other animals, like maybe I would say a buffalo, would eat mainly grass or vegetables, or basically they're not going to eat any meat, which is protein, So they feed on greens and what they can find. Uh, as well, all animals don't ask themselves, when they're thirsty, what they're going to drink. So they basically, all animals drink water. I don't see any animals who can find anything else to drink than water. First, because any liquid who are transformed are basically done by human beings. Animals don't have the choice and the option. So what I want to say is you have to watch and really see the food, on my point of view, as something very simple and something very healthy that your body need. The mind aspect really come after. And the mind aspect of, I like this food, I don't like this food, is really a cultural aspect. And as well, I would say, based on desire and maybe sometimes even being capricious. So you say, I want this, I want that, I don't want this, I don't want that. But you should ask yourself this question. What is good for me as a human being? Of course, you can't compare like animals. Like I said, if you eat only meat, then you're going to have some imbalance in your body. And if you eat only veggies, you would have as well some lack of certain food and nutrition that your body need. So the difference between a human and an animal is we need like more different type of foods and nutrient to be able to be healthy. But now, saying that, it's important to understand that we need a balance of certain food, and a balance as well regarding the type of life that you're having, if you're active or not. I would even say, even as a gender, without any offense, a male will need probably, on my opinion, more protein, because they have more muscle mass. But it doesn't mean that you have to eat only meat, for instance. So you can find some type of food that you need as protein, which help the muscle to be built, to repair. And you need as well some everything with veggies and fruits, basically. What I mean is, what is important really when you ingest food is to understand the frequency of the food that you're eating. Like everything in this life, everything, is vibrating. So a tree vibrates, your body vibrates, the table vibrates, your plate vibrates, and your food vibrates, animal vibrates, everything is vibrating, on a frequency level. So the food that you ingest have a different frequency. Like they say that dead meat, like poultry or beef, gives only 5 megahertz of frequency, which is very low. While eating broccoli or certain fruit like avocado or like this will give you 50 megahertz of frequency. So the food that you ingest is going to help you to feel better and vibrate on a better level. It's not really only how you eat or the quantity that you eat. It's more about what you eat and how you eat it and how you cook it, you know. So when I refer again to the animal kingdom, the animals don't cook their food, you know. They eat it raw. So that's why we have to base as much as we can, and if you like it, to eat the food the way as it is when it's given by nature, which means raw, not cooked. So certain food, I would agree, have to be cooked. But most of the fruits, the veggies, and can be eaten raw. So you're going to say it's difficult, it's not as tasty. Well, it's only a matter of habit, you know. It's how you use to teach your brain to eat this food, you know. Personally, when I eat now salad, for instance, I just chop the salad, the cauliflower, some tomatoes, some cucumbers. I just put a bit of olive oil on top of that with some vinegar to give a bit of taste, and that's it. Done. It's going to my stomach, you know. So the benefit of that when you don't cook your food is you save all the minerals, all the vitamins, and all the nutrients that you have, you know. As soon as you slice a fruit, for instance, it's going to lose its vitamin C within, I think, in a very short time, you know. I'm not too sure. I've been reading, I think within a few minutes or even less. So that's why you have to slice it and eat it right away to have the maximal benefit, you know. So if I slice a pineapple, and a big pineapple, and I eat it in 4 days, for instance, well, after 4 days, the vitamins that was in my pineapple is probably nearly all gone, you know, or mostly gone. Not too sure exactly to give you some real details about, but you definitely lose on the vitamin C, for instance, in this example, you know. So obviously when you go to eat some protein, and when you think about protein, most of the time you're going to think about meat. But as well, you can replace the meat with some other protein, which is vegetable proteins, you know. It's been proven by science that eating a lot of meat, and even poultry, is not especially good for you, you know. In a small quantity, I think it's okay, you know. Why? Because it's dead meat, you know. And obviously we're not animals, so we don't eat raw meat, you know. You can actually, you know. I've been eating some sorry for the people who are going to hear that and who love horses, but you can eat horse meat or even beef meat raw, not cooked, you know, doing, for instance, as we do in France, steak tartars, you know. But as soon as you eat a lot of meat, you create a lot of enzyme in your body, you know. And your body get used to everything, the good and the bad, you know. So imagine you stop eating meat for a while. The day you're going to eat red meat, you're going to feel all weird in your stomach, or even you're not going to digest it properly, and you're not going to feel well, you know. So you get used to everything. And what I mean by that is, on my opinion, as a person who try to live as a minimalist, you know, because I love to eat, but it's not important enough for me to spend time in the kitchen to cook, you know. I would do it maybe if I was with someone, more as a protocol or a creative art because it's nice to see a nice dish and know it's going to be really delicious. But deeply, what's for me it's important is the quality of the food I'm ingesting, the time I put to prepare it, and the value of the food that I put in my body. This is what for me matters. So I try to cook as simple as I can now, without any sauce, or you can do some sauce. Sauce doesn't mean bad as well, you can do a lemon sauce, with a bit of olive oil or a bit of vinegar. So sauce doesn't mean always like bad and it's going to make you fat and all that. It brings some taste, like putting some pepper on top of that. So I was saying, yes, about the food and the cultural aspect. So if you see the food with your five senses, but in a perspective of a human being, not like an animal, you're going to have some desires, basically, You can call it even craving, or it's basically it's coming from your mind, Your mind will say, "Oh, I want to eat this food or this food or this food," and you become a little bit fancy, about the food that you want to eat. So I'm not saying it's bad if you choose or you want to divert your food. If you have the choice, that's great, and you should actually change your food, type of veggie, fruits, and be balanced, and your body is going to love it, But it's not specially necessary, And you would see in a lot of places in the world where they are not so rich or they don't have as many choices of food, you would see, and I've personally witnessed that people can be very healthy, They eat like they have basically the same type of food nearly every day. They don't have a lot of hell of variety and to change, and they are feeling perfectly well in their body, in their mind. They don't have as much sickness due to bad food that we are, for instance, in developed, rich countries, like I would say North America, Europe, or basically rich countries, Why? Because they don't buy their food as much in groceries in general, and their food is not processed. Everything in this, I don't like to say third world countries, because that would be discriminating. But I've seen that in these countries, a lot of these people are not so fat. They don't have as much diabetes problem or salt problem that we have in the more modern and rich society, Why? Because people eat simple, They don't make things fancy, And as well, one of the biggest killer is the sugar, And when I mean sugar, doesn't mean sugar that you put in your coffee, or especially like this. Sugar can be in many type of food, There's a slow sugar, the fast sugar, so they have a different impact as well on your brain, And unfortunately, in modern society, we eat too much food based on carbohydrate, and that's the balance, that most people don't know. So you have to understand your need and the level of energy that you need and what you're going to burn during the day. And when I explain that, I talk about the calories, like most people don't understand the calories, It's simple and difficult to understand. Very simple because the calorie is what your body needs. For instance, 2000 calories a day. If you are depending the activity that you have, I would say a moderate activity, but it depends on your weight, it depends on your metabolism, and so the calorie that you need and the calorie that you ingest. So if you want to lose weight, basically, if your body needs 2000 calories a day and you eat 2500 calories a day, well, you can be sure after a month you're going to put on weight. Now, if you want to lose weight, if you need 2000 calories, but you're going to spend on energy and burn, let's say, 2300 calories a day, you make a deficit of 300 calories, then you're going to start to lose weight. Now, it's a bit more complicated than doing this math, because it depends on your gender, on your metabolism, and on the energy that you waste during the day, and so on and so on, So to be sure, when you look about food, is like try to listen to your body, and it takes time, it takes time and a routine, and that's where it's difficult, because you should be, the great things would be eating at the same time and more or less to know what you need, basically the same type of food for a certain period of time, to create the habit that your body need, and to create a habit, and that's what everything is about, is the habit, So basically, to eat properly, as Cassis explained, and if you want to lose weight or eat properly, you don't do that on willpower, because willpower don't last. Willpower is based on the conscience, and it's 5% of your thinking, basically, The 95% has to be based on the subconscious, and taking habits, and the good and the right habits, slowly but surely, So there's no point of eating well for months and then months after going back on, for instance, a lot of drinking alcohol, makes your body ups and down, and your body is smart. As soon as he sees more calories, he will stock for the future, because your body on a subconscious level is here to protect you and make you survive, like in the nature, So and I've seen that as well, in poor countries. People sometimes don't eat every day, or they eat. So as soon as they see food, they will eat a lot, because they're not sure about the tomorrow, So they say, hey, I eat today a lot, and because tomorrow I'm not sure, so at least I stock, It's a very subconscious process that they have with food, So everything comes from the mind, basically, And your mind is the boss, not your stomach. You should listen to your stomach, of course, But your stomach shouldn't be the fancy pants, saying, hey, I want this food, I don't want this food, I want, and all the cravings that you have, When you have cravings about food, it means something, And certain food you subconsciously need because you are in deficit, So basically, everybody knows when you eat a lot of sugar, especially sugary stuff like, fast sugar, I would mean, it's based basically on on a lack of, it's based on emotions, often of the lack, So a lack and the lack of dopamine, in your brain, which is a neurotransmitter, a reward system, so it feels great, sugar goes straight to your brain, give you a boost like ding, So there's certain food or based as well with caffeine, for instance, give you a lot of bing food, but it's really it can become a poison, and it's like a fast release of energy, but it doesn't feed really your body, on a long term during the day, for instance, So you want to understand that there's some food are slow energy release, So sugar is not bad, but you better eat a banana, for instance, which is a slow dissolving sugar in your body, And the type of sugar that it is not like saccharin, but it's more fructose, So it's better sugar, So as long as you don't have diabetes, 2 or 1, which is basically a problem of the the insulin, basically, I forget the word, but if you don't have this problem, you can eat fruit, What is bad is the wrong type of sugar, and eating the wrong type of sugar at the wrong moment of the day. You don't need like to eat a big plate of pasta or a lot of bread at night, because at night you're going to rest and you're not going to spend as much calories, Well, we can do a video. I could talk about hours on that, But just coming back of the topic of the video, was putting my 2 cents about the food, is eating as simple as you can, as raw as you can, and if you want to make nice dishes and nice plate, that's great, it's kind of a art, especially when you cook for kids or people, because we it's like we human beings, we say, oh, I don't feel like this food, it doesn't look nice, but you have to remember it's all about the mind aspect, it's craving, Personally, when I'm hungry, I eat the same type of food, and that's how I can maintain my body weight and how I feel good, And I do make mistakes sometimes, I have some period that will last me a few weeks, then I drink a little bit more than I should, and after I feel guilty about it, So I exercise more again to not to lose the weight, because I don't have a weight problem personally, but just to the guilt of I really wasted, like months of good behaviors and good habits, we all do that, There's kind of devil inside us who will tell you, oh, this food looks great, Like hamburgers is not bad, I mean, what is bad is eating maybe hamburgers every day with the wrong type of meat, processed meat, and too much of that, and in a quantity that maybe your body doesn't need, So maybe half a hamburger once a week is fine, French fries, is, it's potatoes, It's not because if it's cooked in the correct oil, like maybe olive oil, I do mine sometimes with olive oils, and you don't eat in a lot of big quantities, well, it's not bad, Everything is about quantity as well, the calorie that you need to intake, and not, you like we say in France, avoir les yeux plus gros que le ventre, having the eyes bigger than your stomach, So you eat with your eyes, or you think it's not going to be enough, but basically what you fulfill, it's like the scary aspect of not having enough, the lack. So your base is the lack, And seriously, when you overcome that, you realize that most people eat too much. 90% of the people, especially in the rich country, 90, I would say even 95% of my opinion, eat too much. And even when they do exercise, they do sport, they think like they need to eat a lot before to do exercise, Believe me, and there is a lot of science proven on that, you can do sport on an empty stomach, as long as of course, you're not going to run a marathon on an empty stomach, But your body stock, like in the liver, something called glycogen, You can stock about 2,500 calories, And with that, you can run with no food in the morning, except if you've been eating the night before, 12 hours before or 10 hours before to start your marathon. You can run about 28 to 30 kilometers with no food in the stomach, when you train your body too, So your body will take this energy not only on food but on what they call the fat system, all the fat that you have in your body, That's why, for instance, animals, female animals, have more fat, because that's how they can resist more and they can feed the offsprings, So they need the fat, and they don't eat, like they hibernate, bears hibernate for months and months, and they live in their fat system. So as a human being, we have the same, The difference is we don't hibernate, So it means that we have a level of activity every day. We're going to burn calories, but therefore we need some food. But needing some food doesn't mean a lot of food. And it means, what type of food do I put in my body, What is the balance of lipids, protein, and so we have the lipids, the protein and the carbs. Carbs, which could be translated as sugar, different type of sugar, So you need to reduce your level of carbs, especially if you don't do long, if you don't do long sessions of sport, like endurance, you don't need a lot of carbs, You need really little rice, pastas, bread, and all that. When you eat too much carbs, that's what people get wrong. They think they have to cut the fat. The fat of for instance, French fries with olive oil is fat. It's fatty, yes. Or fish, can be fatty too. I mean, in the sense of the taste that you have in your smell. But it's not the type of fat that is bad. This type of fat are good. Fat are good. You have good type of fat like peanuts or almonds or all this avocado. There's a lot of fats in that, but they are good fats, They call it polysaturated fat, What is bad is the trans fat, that you find, in margarines or in some of cheeses. So, it's complicated, So that's why, to be safe and conservative, as much raw food that you eat and simple, the better you will be. Veggies, fruits, as far as protein, you can even use some green beans, like the red beans, lentils are really rich in proteins. And if you have the choice, I know it's difficult depending the country where you are. You have moringa, some fruits were very, very rich in protein, and they're not like animals protein, So personally, as protein, I do eat eggs, I know it's still animals come from animal source, so I know the people who are vegetarian will be against it, but I think it's eggs are still they will develop if into like poultry, or if they were having the chance to be alive, but they're not developed, so they're full of good nutrition, and it's called by a lot of people as a superfood element, eggs, So I want to give you some example of the food that I'm having. I'm living in French Guiana at the moment. And I'm not working at the moment, so I do have time. But even the day I'm going to work again or be busy, I would say I will have the same lifestyle as much as I can on a regular basis. So I do wake up in the morning. I still have the habit of drinking coffee. I quitted the coffee for a few months when I had some guarana. Guarana is a plant from essentially Amazonia, based on it's full of caffeine, but the caffeine dissolves in a more regular way, than coffee. Coffee gives you spikes and down and up and down, and especially mixed with sugar, it boosts the insulin on the gland here, and that has well a very bad effect on your mind and your body. So I'm going to quit coffee as soon as I receive from my friend who is going to bring me back half kilo of guarana that I ordered online. So caffeine, you don't need too much caffeine, caffeine is a stimulant, it's an habit as well that we have. But I try to live without caffeine, and it's difficult because it's a cultural aspect, and I've had caffeine for 45 years of my life, so cutting that is pretty difficult, it's not as difficult to cut alcohol or other things, but caffeine is really deeply unrooted in my subconscious. It's one of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning, so basically you have to work on the habit, so the food that you ingest, everything should be based and think subconsciously, and you have to put in place the habit. It's a habit of, for instance, if you can afford it, and let's say a lot of people say I use it now and it's good, drink a lemon juice in the morning with no sugar. I personally do 2 lemons, green lemons with a glass of water after my coffee that I say at the moment I drink. I will replace that with guarana, and I go and do my exercise with no food. And sometimes I spend between 14 to 16 hours without eating. I eat between a window of 8-10 hours. I don't do that all the time because I listen to my body, and because I do a lot of exercise and sport. My needs in calorie and I change every day. Some day I do bike, some day I swim, some day I do half an hour of sport, some day I do more like strength training, so I will need more food. But I try to do my sport with no food, and after that I will eat. So I do as well part of my food, so lemon juice. I do 4 eggs cooked with a lot of pepper. So it's pepper as well help to burn a calorie because it's a thermogenesis. So it raises the metabolism. When I do have some biological eggs, I can swallow them without being cooked. But I know where I buy them, and I've done that. I never had any problem. I wouldn't do that with eggs that I buy in the grocery store. Sorry. So I do that, and I eat 2 fruits in the morning. So depending on where I am and what type of fruit of the season. Like in French Guiana, they don't have apples, for instance, but they import them from France or wherever. So green apple is one of my favorite choice. I eat grapefruit as well. I love grapefruit. I eat pitayas, which is a dragon fruit. And I eat as well, I eat a lot of bananas. Bananas has been one of my main food that I had all over my life. It's a fruit full of vitamin and give you sugar, and sometimes when I do sport and I do for a long bike ride, for instance, I don't want to eat too much and have my stomach too full. I would eat 2 bananas. So that gives you plenty of food who are going to dissolve the sugar very slowly in my body. So banana is one of the fruit. When I'm in the country where I can afford it as well, is all the bay, like raspberries, strawberries, and all that. But here they're difficult to find in Guyana, and they're usually expensive. But basically, I do so protein, eggs, sugar, fruit, and fat. Fat I eat as well some nuts. When I have like Amazonian nuts, which are full of selenium, and they're great, basically as well, and the walnuts or the peanuts as well, So a bunch of that, and that's sometimes I jump sometime even a meal at lunch. That's all I need, So I would do 2 or 3 meals during the day. In the afternoon I eat another fruit. I do eat a little bit of chocolate. There's a lot of good food which is called flavonoid, and they're good as well. They give you a boost of on the dopamine level, and if you don't eat too much, there's a bit of fat in it, but the good chocolate, the dark chocolate, like this, a little bit, I drink plenty of water. I would say, a minimum of 2 liters, which is really not enough in a hot country, but I go up to more than 4 liters of water, plus the coffee I eat in the morning, I drink a green tea with some mint in it, and I try to avoid to put sugar. I put some honey in it, And at night now I'm having basically a salad, mixed salad, cauliflower, so red cauliflower, not cooked, sometimes red beans cold, salad, cucumbers, there's all kind of veggies, basically, and I do some potatoes with that, otherwise sometimes doesn't give me enough calories, and I wake up at night because my body is screaming for food, and it's a matter of controlling your calorie levels. As I said, I do some sport on different days, so my calorie intake change. But basically now I can regulate. I know more or less what I need, and it's pretty okay, and my body weight really didn't change. I was saying to a friend yesterday that when I was 20, I was weighing 68 kilos, 69 kilos, and now at nearly 58 years old, I just put on weight of 2.5 kilos, So you just calculate, in about 38 years, I just put on weight more than 2 kilos, which is 5 pounds, which is really nothing, considering that your metabolism is slowing down, and you could easily put on weight a kilo a year if you don't do any exercise or are not careful with your food. But that's due to the level of exercise that I do as well, But just to conclude with that as well, because a lot of people think that you have to do sport to lose weight. No, you don't have to do sport to lose weight. All you have to do is to be careful about what you eat, what kind of food that you eat, and the quantity that you eat. I know people who don't do any sport. They do maybe a bit of walking and not even, and they will be slim, So the only thing that sport will do is raise your level of energy, But as far as being slim or maintain a weight level and to control your weight, you don't have to do sports, And you don't have to have like super willpower and to say that I'm going to do it, All you have to take is the habit and maintain it, And it's for everything like this in life anyway. Everything is about the subconscious, Habit, and that's it. So when you understood that, and you're not too difficult and too hard on yourself, and you do it slowly, and most of that you cut the quantity of the food that you ingest, then you'll be okay. So that was my 2 cents on the food and this long video, and I thank you very much, and there will be a lot more to say, but I think I covered a certain aspect, and thanks again as well to Cassis, and I really recommend to you to read her blog and take some courses and some insight about what she's putting on her website. See you guys.